Raise your hand if you get the shiny syndrome when it comes to building your business. And I say this because one, it happens to me. And two, it's such a common thing for entrepreneurs, especially those of us who have that like creative gene. And one thing I'm here to tell you is that it's not your fault. Not only that, but I've been in this industry for so long and I know what tends to happen that I'm going to give you a little bit of relief today. And we're going to treat this session today very tactical, but it's almost going to be like a meditation where you get into alignment and you get into focus. So if you're ready, let's identify the three things that I know will have a big shift in your business. And the first one is going to be the power of the workshop. And I say this because workshops is what put me on the map as a yoga teacher and a go-to source in the community. When I was doing classes, it was great, right? I was teaching, I was helping people, changing lives, doing all that stuff. But here's the thing. I wouldn't make more than $30 to $35 a class, right? Can you agree with that? That's kind of the maybe 50 if I worked at a fancy place. Also, I'm here in Miami. You guys might be in different places where the pay rate is just simply not as high. So I needed to make sure that I made more money by doing what I loved. I needed to make sure that I made more money doing what I loved. This is why we become business owners. This is why we become entrepreneurs. So workshops were step one. And this is to me, the most important rung of a value ladder. So the workshops, what did they do? They helped me be seen as a go-to source. Now, it's really easy as a multi-talented yoga teacher, health coach, Pilates teacher, life coach, right? Because we were learners. So it's really simple to get shiny, right? That, oh, I can teach everybody about everything. And then you're never again seen as that go-to source. So in my experience, when I started teaching workshops, I stayed very true to my lane. I would focus on arm balances, inversions, transitions. I was very much asana focused, right? Movement. Then obviously I did acro yoga. That was my niche, right? The acro yoga. And something else that I did was adjustments for other yoga teachers. Okay. But that came a little bit later when I had already built credibility. So in the beginning, I was more of like a business to consumer, and I helped people become better at their movement, stronger handstands, different kinds of inversions. Like I would even do workshops that were only how to do a handstand, 3 hours of drills, preliminary, theory, practicums. So just that was a huge stepping stone for me because I was able to then teach at many different studios. Now, here's the drawback. Doing this on like in real life, IRL, what it does is that it takes a lot of time away from you. So I was sometimes driving an hour there, prepping. So my 90-minute workshop, my 2-hour workshop was like a 5-hour excursion or maybe a little less, but it took a lot of my time. Yes, it was highly scaled, highly leveraged. And here's the other thing though, I highly depended on the studio where I was a guest instructor filling the workshop. So there were times where, yes, I drove an hour from my house to teach somewhere and I had 4 people. Again, 4 people at, $70 each made a big difference compared to my weekly class, but it's still, the time for money was kind of low. So there were things that I did as much as possible to help that studio owner, right? Again, I knew marketing. I would post on Facebook. I would see where my connections were. But if I didn't really have a community in the city or the town where that workshop was, I was kind of up for grabs. Like, I didn't know how many people were going, and I don't like to cancel. I usually, if there was 3 people, I would hold the workshop because I knew that those 3 people eventually could become clients for my teacher trainings, my retreats, my immersions. So that's the thing, right? Pros and cons. Now, if what I'm about to tell you existed 20 years ago when I was doing this was to move the workshops online, well, gosh, I would have done it because, for example, ever since I started implementing that strategy in my online business, I'll get 25, 30 people to sign up for my workshops, paid workshops. And here's the thing, I do them from my house. Even I've done some for yoga, because obviously you guys know I do more coaching, but I've done some for yoga through my yoga expo. And what did I have to do? Come down to my office or to my den, turn on the computer, teach my class, turn off the computer, off I went. So there's something really powerful. Now you're saying, well, Ari, how are you, what if you only have 3 people? Well, that's fine. My driving time was 0. I kept 100% of the profits, right? With a studio, you normally have to do like 50-50, 60-40. Online, my business, my money. So no revenue share. Now, if I spent some money on ads, maybe spent some money on marketing, that was an expense, which I'll happily do because it helped me grow my email list, get me in front of more people. Again, create that authority, that credibility to people online. Now, also, you have to consider that online, you can get people to join you from anywhere. Lately, I've been running campaigns to Australia, to Canada. And let me tell you, I've flown to Canada to teach weekends. And apart from it being a schlep, apart from it being also amazingly beautiful, there were weekends that I just kind of wanted to stay home and not have to go to another country or another state to teach. So if I were in this process of being like, what are the things that you absolutely want to consider doing as a yoga and wellness professional? I would absolutely look at leading workshops online. And I actually have a whole free guide that you can get. And if you want to go even deeper, you'll see I have a mini course that you can access right away. So in order to put a workshop together online, what do you need? You need to figure out what you're really good at, right? Multi-passionate. When I was a yoga teacher, I'm still a yoga teacher, but when I was a full-time yoga teacher, yes, I taught meditation. Yes, I taught acro yoga. Yes, I taught vinyasa. Yes, I taught meditation. Yes, I was a health coach. But really what made me the most money was my niche of acro yoga, like hands down. Even as a health coach, I would get private clients and I would charge them, $1,200 for a 3-month contract. But you know what I would do? I would make $800 in a weekend teaching 6 hours of acro, and maybe I'd make more. It depends. Actually, on a 3-day workshop, it was like a series. I think I made like $2,500. So do the math. The things that you need is to clarify. So for those of you, again, multi-passionates, please get clear, like really show up as that expert, really show up as that, like, I need to learn how to do this thing. That's the person to go to, right? Oh, I have an injury. That's the person to go to. For example, my husband is amazing at that. He's a massage therapist. And when people are suffering from lower back or they're suffering from injuries, he's the man they call. Not only that, but he can charge a little bit more than most massage therapists because he's a specialist. So I want you to really look at this in your business in general and focus on doing that first. Get really clear on what you want to be known for. Second, do a little bit of like digging in. What are your people asking you for? Like, let's say that you teach a class and after that class, people come up to you and they're like, oh my God, that was amazing. I really loved how you did that. Oh, that was so challenging. And you get some feedback. Well, what part of the class did you like? Oh, when you did the arm balances, the handstands. Oh, actually, I really like the yin, the shavasana, right? Get a little bit of data, because what you want to do is lowest hanging fruit. You want to give people what they're asking for. You don't want to have to reinvent the wheel. You don't want to have to convince them. Like, marketing is give people what they want, right? Show them what they want, and then sneak in what they really need. Like if somebody wanted to learn a handstand, I'm not going to say, hey, this workshop is all about arm and wrist strength and bone stacking. No, I would say, hey, learn how to do a handstand in 90 minutes or less. And then what are we going to do in the workshop? Bone stacking, wrist warm-ups, arm strength, shoulder openers, like all the things that they need in order to achieve what they want. So get that really clear so that when you create your workshop title, and this applies to retreats as well, like it applies to everything. So when you're ready to create that workshop title, you already have people that are willing to say yes. And that's the beauty. So when you go online, that's the number one thing. Number two thing is that you need simple tech. You need a registration page, you need a payment processor, and you need Zoom. That's it. Like very easy. I am the queen of automating everything. So I like to create a funnel, and you'll see there's a link below for my marketing software where everything's already built for you. Plus it's a community of tech support. So you'll never be alone. I like to build funnels because then this funnel I can reuse. And here's the magic part about doing this online. You record that workshop and now it's a digital asset. So I have a product-based business, right? I sell athletic wear. What's great about athletic wear is that I can sell it, people buy it, it doesn't require my time other than to ship. Bad thing is that I need to buy inventory. So there's an upfront cost. Digital, zero upfront cost, like some of the highest profit margins. And now when you have this digital asset, let's say you wanted to sell it, wanted to run some ads to it and sell it on its own, you can. You can do whatever you want with this. You can give it to your students as something for free. Like it becomes a product. Now, I have so many clients that are like, oh my God, I'm going out of town. I'm not going to make money. Even my husband, right? We're going on vacation and we're not going to make money on his side while we're on vacation. But guess who is going to make money? Me, because I have digital assets that are selling themselves while I'm doing whatever I want. I woke up today to 2 sales. Like, who doesn't want that? So I want you guys to start really figuring out what it is that you're looking for in terms of your business in order to reach more time freedom. So we covered step number 1, the asset, right? The clarity, the title, the promise, and the simple tech that you need in order to deliver this. But guess what? This is only one rung of the ladder. Without this other piece right here, which is going to be your higher priced offering, you're now operating on volume. And if you've gone to any of my trainings, you'll know that in today's marketplace, running a business on volume is not the best because there's so many offers. It's so easy to get offers in front of people that you really want to set yourself up for success. For example, I much rather sell a bundle of my clothing than it is to sell a bra. So I have created bundles in my store. I much rather sell a coaching program that's more high touch, that's more supported, right? Because it's going to bring more money into my pocket. Now, a lot of people, a lot of coaches out there, and I'll say this in the beginning, will say, have one offer, have one signature offer. This is how you want to start. You want to have one signature high ticket offer. This is not your retreat, right? Your retreats are high ticket, but your profit margin is also a little bit lower just because of the high expense. So you want to have one signature, like transformational program, certification, teacher training, skill building, transformation, coaching, mentorship, right? There's so many opportunities in order to do that. Because again, if you don't have a big following yet, if you haven't built your big email list yet, you don't want to have to operate on having 100 sales a month in order to reach your revenue goals. You want to have like 4. Like if you sold 4 $1,000 programs, like would that make a big difference in your bank account? I mean, it would make a big difference in my bank account. You know, I don't sit here and pretend that $1,000 is not a lot of money. So I want you guys to really look at these 2 core things that you want in your business. A low ticket that you can deliver, sell, grows your email list, gets people like really excited and loving you. And then something a little bit more expensive. Here's the thing that I started talking about today was the shiny creative. Now, as much as I want to tell you to keep your business simple, you're probably itching to create lots of offers. And I'm going to say, do what your heart tells you. I love to create lots of offers. The only thing I'm going to suggest is if you're doing this fully online, that you measure your time, because every offer, especially if it has an online course, especially if it has a launch associated or ads, it can start creeping up on you. So keep things simple to start. And then when you have your rhythm and you have your method, crank it up. Create 2 or 3 different offers, not a week, maybe a quarter. You revamp your business. You add in something that has been really calling you. And the last thing I want you to do is to feel stagnated or listening to, maybe you follow somebody on Instagram that's saying, the one thing you need to do. It's like, no, it's not the one thing. One of the things, right? Like implement one of these things. And trust me, like all my coaches that I have, all my colleagues in this industry, they don't just have one thing. It's like they say, well, you have to have a low ticket. You don't have to, but you can. And I think it's smart. You have to have a mastermind. You don't have to, but you can. You just have to map it out and make sure that you know exactly like how you're operating, what your tech, what the support is, because the last thing you want to do is feel burnt out in any aspect of your business. And trust me, if you've never felt burnt out, you're blessed. I hit burnout a few months ago and it was probably the worst time of my life. So do me a favor. Pick one thing that you want to launch with, one thing you want to promote, one thing you want to start, and put your heart and soul into it. And then when you get that itch, when you've sold some, right? Don't just make something new because you didn't sell any. If you've already done the work, tweak it, improve it. But once you've sold some of that thing, then go create the next thing. Don't stay in creator mode, because creators will get like dizzy with our inspiration, with our downloads from the universe. Whereas like focused business owners, they tend to grow. And that's what I want for you. So I hope that this video was useful, and you'll see I have links below where you can download some free guides, get to know me a little bit more, but I would love to see where you're at in your business. You can comment below, and thanks so much. I'll see you in the next video.